Do you ever feel like you're interested in everything, but committed to nothing? You start learning guitar, then suddenly you're into coding, then fitness, then photography, then psychology, and before you finish one thing, your mind pulls you somewhere else. And slowly, people around you start saying things like, "Why can't you just focus on one thing? Pick a career already. You're wasting your potential." And you begin to wonder, is something wrong with me? If you're someone who has too many interests, stay with me. Because this is not about laziness, and it's not about being confused. It's about how your mind works. Many people with multiple interests grow up in environments where they had to adapt quickly. Maybe you were the smart one in the family. Maybe you were praised for being talented. Maybe you learned that your value comes from what you can do. So you became curious. You explored. You learned fast. But here's the psychological part most people don't understand. Having too many interests is often connected to a highly open personality. In psychology, we call it high openness to experience. Your brain loves novelty. It gets dopamine from new ideas, new skills, new beginnings. Starting something feels exciting. It feels alive. But the problem isn't interest. The problem is nervous system overload. In modern life, especially in America and many other fast-paced countries, we're constantly told to build one thing, choose one career, one identity, one path. But your brain doesn't work like that. So what happens? You start something. You feel motivated. Then life pressures show up. Family expectations, bills, relationship stress, comparison on social media, people asking, "What are you doing with your life?" And slowly, anxiety replaces curiosity. Now your brain shifts into protection mode. Instead of finishing, it searches for a new interest, because new things feel safe. New things don't carry the pressure of expectations yet. This is called avoidance coping. You're not quitting because you're incapable. You're quitting because finishing feels heavy. Let me tell you about Daniel. Daniel is 29. He has tried business, music production, real estate, fitness coaching, even starting a YouTube channel. Every time he starts, he's passionate. He researches deeply. He invests time. But once people start asking, "So when will you succeed?" he feels tight in his chest. He doubts himself. He procrastinates. And then he moves to something new. His family calls him unstable. His partner calls him inconsistent. But in therapy, something interesting came out. Daniel grew up with a very critical father. Nothing was ever good enough. So as an adult, the moment something becomes serious, his brain associates it with judgment. So he escapes into something new. It's not lack of discipline. It's emotional memory. And maybe some part of that sounds like you. Sometimes having too many interests is also connected to fear of identity commitment. Psychologically, choosing one path feels like closing other doors, and for someone who sees many possibilities, that feels like loss. So you keep all doors slightly open. But here's the cost. You end up exhausted, scattered, feeling behind in life, watching others move forward in one direction while you're spinning in circles. And that hurts, especially when your family doesn't understand. Maybe your mother says, "When will you settle?" Maybe your spouse feels insecure because you keep changing plans. Maybe your child sees you stressed and distracted. It creates tension at home, not because you're irresponsible, but because you're internally overwhelmed. Let's slow this down. There is nothing wrong with being multi-passionate. The issue is unmanaged focus. So what can you actually do? First, stop shaming yourself. Self-criticism increases anxiety, and anxiety increases avoidance. It becomes a cycle. Instead of saying, "I'm a failure," try saying, "My brain loves variety. I need structure, not shame." Second, create seasons, not forever decisions. Psychologically, your brain resists permanent choices, so don't tell yourself, "This is my career for life." Tell yourself, "For the next 6 months, I am committing to this." 6 months feels safer than forever. Third, limit active interests. You can have many interests, but only 1 or 2 active projects at a time. The rest go into a future list. This reduces cognitive overload. When your brain knows the other ideas are saved, it relaxes. Fourth, understand the discomfort of mastery. Starting feels exciting, mastery feels repetitive, and repetition is where your brain gets bored. But boredom is not a sign to quit. Boredom is often the doorway to growth. If you can sit through the boring phase, that's when identity forms. Fifth, talk openly with your family. Instead of defending yourself, explain yourself. Say, "I'm not confused. My brain just works in multiple directions. I'm learning how to focus." When people understand the psychology, they soften. Let me share another story. Maria is 35, 2 kids, full-time job. She loves baking, interior design, writing, fitness, psychology podcasts. She felt guilty for not turning any of them into something big. She kept thinking, other moms build businesses. Why can't I just choose one? But when she slowed down, she realized something important. Not every interest has to become income. Some interests are for identity nourishment. Some are for peace. When she stopped trying to monetize everything, her stress dropped, and she finally chose one project calmly, not out of pressure. This is another psychological trap in modern culture. We confuse interest with productivity. You're allowed to enjoy things without turning them into achievements. Now, let's talk about the deeper layer. Sometimes having too many interests is also a way to avoid stillness. When you sit still, uncomfortable feelings come up. Loneliness, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. So staying busy with new goals protects you from those emotions. If that resonates, pause. Ask yourself gently, what am I afraid will happen if I focus on just one thing? The answer might surprise you. Maybe you're afraid of failing publicly. Maybe you're afraid of succeeding and being seen. Maybe you're afraid that if this one thing doesn't work, you'll have no excuses left. That's human, not broken. Human. You don't need to reduce your curiosity. You need emotional regulation. Simple habits help. Daily quiet time without screens. Short journaling about why you want your current goal. Weekly review instead of daily panic. And celebrating small consistency, not big results. Consistency builds self-trust, and self-trust reduces the urge to escape. Remember this. People with many interests often have creative, intelligent, adaptive minds. The world needs that. But without boundaries, your own mind can become too loud. So don't kill your curiosity. Organize it. Don't force yourself into someone else's path. Design your own structure. And please hear this. You are not behind in life. Your timeline looks different because your brain processes possibility differently. Take a deep breath right now. Slowly. You are not scattered. You are searching. And searching is not weakness. It just needs direction. Healing is possible. Focus is trainable. Peace is available, one step at a time. Take a deep breath. You deserve peace. If this felt like someone finally understood you, stay connected here at Life Through Psychology. You're not alone in this.